Now, you endorsed Governor Romney.
I did.
Are you in contact with him all the time?
Yes.
What do you guys talk about?
Just general. I tell you what, he has a stance on China, which is a country that's just ripping our heart out. I mean, we just do nothing to protect ourselves, that I really like.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great. #1 selling tie anywhere in the world.
Ties? Where are the ties
They
made?
have to work
These are
too.
beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? China. Ties are made in China.
That look on Donald Trump's face is worth 1 million gold-plated Midtown office hours. That is worth the price of whatever empathetic impulse you have toward your fellow human being, Donald Trump. Whatever price you pay in ghostly empathetic shame, just for the pleasure of seeing his actual shame at having that issue resolved that way on national TV. You do not have to dislike Donald Trump as a person to be ineffably satisfied with seeing this lie of his unraveled, right? I mean, because it is a kind of lie implicitly to make it seem in one moment like you're the guy who'd be super tough on China in business terms and economic terms. You're the guy who would stop China from ripping America's heart out, while you are also the guy who is making his self-branded neckwear in China, right? That is a kind of lie. I mean, in polite circles, you might refer to that sort of moral pretzeling as hypocrisy. But if you just want to speak more bluntly and spare more syllables, it is a kind of lie. To portray yourself as bravely standing up for some particular thing when you don't particularly stand for that.
As proof of the fact that I don't think Donald Trump has any clue what he's talking about, we now go to video of Donald Trump over the weekend being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos on ABC's This Week. If you don't like cringing, you might want to tune away from this next segment. Donald Trump has talked for a while now about his immigration ideas. He's going to deport the illegal immigrants. He's going to build a wall, blah, blah, blah. George Stephanopoulos decided to speak very specifically to Donald Trump about how he would do that. Let's discuss the costs. Let's discuss how it would be done. And Donald Trump imploded, completely fell apart. It became abundantly clear he has no idea what he's talking about. Let's take a look at this video. Brace yourselves. Get the children out of the room because this is absolutely cringeworthy. Take a look.
Look at this from the American Action Forum conservative group. They say the federal government would have to spend roughly $400 to $600 billion to address the 11.2 million undocumented immigrants. Each immigrant would have to be apprehended, detained, legally processed, transported to his or her home country. In turn, this would shrink the labor force by 11 million workers, reduce real GDP by $1.6 trillion. Are you willing to pay that price, and where are you going to get the money?
Well, first of all, they're wrong. And, you know, Jeb is a very low-energy person. He'd never be able to do it. He's the one that said they come out of an act of love, okay? This is an act of love. These are people coming, and many of them, you look at what's happening with the crime, many of them are really causing tremendous problems. And they would be out really fast, immediately. First day we start that movement. We need a wall. We have to get a wall. We need great security, and we're going to have a wall that will be not let people in, George. And, by the way, legally, if you're legal, you can come in and we'll cherish.
But let me press you on
in.
the cost right there, Mr. Trump. They're saying $400, $600 billion. It would require a big government apparatus to take everybody down. If you don't think those numbers are right, how much is it going to cost, and where are you going to get the money?
Well, it's costing us $130 billion a year, and that's peanuts compared to what the real cost is, George, for the way we have it now. You have so many illegals. We don't even know how many illegals. I hear 11 million. I hear 30 million. The government has no idea. We have lost control of our country. We've lost control of our borders. The government has no idea how many illegals there are. I've been hearing 11 million for 5 years. Then the other day I heard 30. Nobody has any idea.
So if there's no idea,
control.
How are you going to round them all up? Where are you going to get the money? Where are you going to get the forces? Exactly how are you going to do it? What are the specifics here?
George, it's called management. The first thing we have to do is secure the border, but it's called management. And we'll get people back in, the really good ones. We're going to expedite it so they get back in, so they can at least come in legally. But
you
we
keep
have to
declaring how you're going to do it, but you don't say how.
Excuse me, George?
You declare how you're going to do it, but you don't say how.
George, I'm telling you, it's called management. You can do this, and we can expedite the good ones to come back in, and everybody wants that. but they have to come in legally. We have a country. We're a country of laws. We're a country of borders. How can you have a country without a border?
That's right, Lewis. Donald Trump would do it through management. Well, I'm convinced that sounds like a pretty logical strategy to me.
Management. He is doing what many politicians are guilty of, and that's making promises and saying you're going to do things with no explanation as to how, and usually things that are very expensive. But can he manage his way through this?
I don't think so. And, never mind that the costs combined with the GDP loss would be staggering. Never mind that Donald Trump claims to be a small government conservative, and what he's suggesting would be a hugely intrusive, large government apparatus, as George Stephanopoulos accurately points out. I wonder, this is the concern I have, because it's obvious Donald Trump knows nothing about immigration. Will the Trump fans abandon him when they realize that he doesn't even understand his own ideas, many of which would require absurd government spending or intrusion, which conservatives claim to oppose, as well as violations of U.S. law or trade policy? Will the Trump supporters abandon him when they realize that, or are they sticking with him?
I don't see his followers abandoning him. I think he's already made it pretty clear that he doesn't understand these issues, and they're sticking with him. How much worse is it going to get? I guess if he wins the primary and has to debate whoever, it might become more clear. But are they going to vote for the Democrat after that? No.
Probably not. And if you look at some of the comments online to video clips of this exchange and news articles written about this, there are conservatives who are saying, oh, George Stephanopoulos was being overly aggressive and sandbagging Trump. George Stephanopoulos just asked the question, how will you do this? And then said, hey, here's some data about this. How will you do this? And Trump had no answer other than management. If your critique is of George Stephanopoulos, you're either willfully ignorant or just blind to the reality of that exchange.
It was like being angry at Katie Couric for asking Sarah Palin, what do you read? And, was that sandbagging? I don't think so. Was that gotcha journalism?
Lewis, that was a completely unfair question. Nobody knows what they read unless they've been prepped on what they read by their staff. And that was absolutely gotcha journalism.
Yes. Well, her staff, I guess they weren't predicting a question like that. It seems like an easy one.
Make sure to follow me on Twitter, twitter.com/dpacman, and follow producer Lewis on Twitter. He's at Lewis Motomedy. Back after the break.
Dear citizens of the world, we are anonymous. Let's get one thing perfectly clear. To my subscribers and supporters, you may remember me as the one who organized the complete shutdown of anonymous operations. A branch of Anonymous that successfully waged cyber war against Turkey, Hungary, Cloudflare and Donald Trump. You may think I silenced these hackers as a Donald Trump supporter, but that is far from the truth. In fact, Trump was the only thing they ever accomplished that we admired. We, the loyalists and veterans of Anonymous, have decided to revive this operation on a far larger scale. Dear Donald Trump, we have been watching you for a long time, and what we see is deeply disturbing.
When do we beat Mexico at the border? They are not our friend. They're rapists. Gotta see this guy. Oh, I don't know what I said. I don't remember.
I'm right now suing Univision for $500 million. We're going to win a lot of money.
You called women you don't like fat pigs, dogs, slobs, and disgusting animals.
You could see there was blood coming out of her eyes, blood coming out of her wherever.
Sue her because it would be fun. I'd like to take some money out of her fat ass pockets. Although she does have a very nice one. I've said that if Ivanka were my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her.
Your inconsistent and hateful campaign has not only shocked the United States of America, you have shocked the entire planet with your appalling actions and ideas. You say what your current audience wants to hear, but in reality you don't stand for anything except for your personal greed and power. This is a call to arms. This is a call to the freedom fighters, to the forgotten, to the censored, to our fellow hacktivists throughout the world. This is a call to protect our future, our freedom, and our very way of life. This is a call to you. We need you to shut down his websites. Research and expose what he doesn't want the public to know. We need you to dismantle his campaign and sabotage his brand. We are encouraging every able person with a computer watching this video to participate in this operation. You do not need to know how to hack to support this important operation. If you are able to re-upload this video to your channel, you will help to give this operation the momentum it needs. Share this video. This is not a warning. This is a declaration of total war. Operation Trump engaged. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. We will not forget. Donald Trump, it is too late to expect us.
Creepy family photo turns spotlight on Trump. If you ask any red-blooded heterosexual male if Ivanka Trump is hot, we'd guess they'd say yes. But you wouldn't necessarily expect her father to agree, would you? But as Donald Trump vies for the GOP presidential nomination, questions are being asked about his relationship with his eldest daughter. And one of those questions is, how badly does Trump want to bang her? The question isn't necessarily new, but has been raised again after this creepy photo emerged on Twitter. The shuddersome snap was taken during a Vanity Fair photo shoot in 1996, when Ivanka was just 15. Always bombastic and sometimes outrageous, Trump has serious form when it comes to discussing Ivanka's hotness. For example, take this quote from an interview he gave to Howard Stern in 2003.
Beauties of the world, according to everybody, and I helped create her. Who? Ivanka. My daughter, Ivanka.
Yeah.
She's 6 feet tall. She's got the best body.
Yeah, she's hot.
She made a lot of money as a model, a tremendous amount, and then she went cold turkey and gave it all up because she had to go to college, because I wanted her to go to college.
Or how about this clip from The View in 2006?
If Ivanka weren't my daughter, perhaps I'd be dating her. You know?
Oh, it's so weird. Stop. You know what? You are sick. Yeah. Well, you're known for saying outrageous things, Mr. Trump. Who, you Woody Allen?
Or this one from The Wendy Williams Show in 2013.
What's the favorite thing you have in common with your father?
Either real estate or golf.
Donald, with your daughter?
Well, I was going to say sex, but I can't relate that.
So what do you think? Is the Donald's love for Ivanka just fatherly pride, or is something really creepy going on?
Let's say China. 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 You go over to China. 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 You take China. 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 I love them. China. 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 I have to have my China. China. China because China. 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 And you know China, 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 South China, China, China. People say, oh, you don't like China. I like China. China. I love China.
The 2015 presidential race is heating up. I'm here with our potential next First Lady, wife of Republican candidate Donald Trump. Melania, it's nice to meet you.
It's nice.
We know a lot about Donald as a businessman, as a reality show star, and as a presidential candidate. What about Donald as a husband?
He liked to yell and make the big building and put gold on things.
How did you two meet?
He come to me in the night and take me from my mother's arms. I remember my father was screaming in college.
You met in college?
Business school.
But he's significantly older than you.
I was freshman, he was senior.
He's had some controversial policies. How do you as an immigrant feel about his stance on immigration?
Whoa, whoa, hey there, Wolferino, throwing some fastballs at the old lady.
Donald, I didn't realize you'd be joining us. I was just talking about your relationship.
Okay, here come the jokes about our age difference. And I agree, a 45-year-old woman is gross. I have a saying, 44 and out the door, but I'll make an exception for this one as long as she keeps up her workout regimen. Come on, show me something.
One.
No, do a real one.
Two.
No, that's one.
You know, back to immigration. Melania, you're an immigrant yourself.
Yes, I am from Yugoslavia, but Donald say for the next 3 months I am from Ohio. It's a swinger state.
Swing state. Yeah.
Ohio is such a beautiful land. The land of Cleve is so gorgeous. And when Donald is emperor,
President,
we will build the gold castle.
Melania, what will you bring to the White House as First Lady?
I'll tell you what she'll bring, Wolfenstein. Panache, class, and a lot of her hot friends. She'll be the First Lady, all right. The first of many ladies.
I was asking Mrs. Trump.
When I am first woman, everyone get 50% off select designer handbag from my collection on the QVC.
What about health care?
In my country, if you're sick, you go to the witch doctor, and if you're man, they give you the Jadavil, the medicine. If you woman, they kill you for free.
Like she was saying, Obamacare is a huge failure. It's a joke.
In what way is it a joke?
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Obamacare.
Obamacare?
Obamacare will put this country $40 trillion in debt and will be bowing down to the Chinese and the Mexicans, and that is a proven fact.
Oh. It's funny.
Melania, some people feel that your relationship with Donald is strictly business. Is that true?
No, he's a very romantic guy. I tell him when he is far from me and does not come to my wing of the house, that's very romantic.
It's very kinky. She likes to wear costumes and do a little role play.
I wear the mask over my eyes and pretend I am far away with maybe the Ryan Gosling.
Melania, do you love Donald?
Mm-hmm.
Can you say I love Donald?
You love Donald.
No, you love Donald. You say I love Donald.
What did you say?
You
want
say
to say together at
No.
the same time?
I don't love Donald. You do.
Oh.
Say I love Donald.
Me?
You. You're the one married to him.
Okay. Here I go. I love...
English ain't her first language. Do it in that mumbo jumbo you do.
Zavimbam Schmert.
I'm sorry, could you say that in English?
Can I have a shot?
Of alcohol. Okay.
I love Donald very much.
Can you blame her? I'm like Christian Grey. You know,
from 50 Shades of Grey.
You know.
But his tummy looked like spoiled oatmeal.
Well, that's all the time we have. I'd like to thank Melania and Donald Trump for...
Go to my website, www.melaniatrump.com, or you can find me in the Book of Faces.
Thank you, Melania. Back to you in the studio.
Trump ties, Trump towers. You can buy all 14 seasons of The Apprentice and Celebrity Apprentice.
Thank you, Donald. Back to you.
Buy the red hat as seen on Tom Brady's head. It comes in huge, extra huge, and Rosie O'Donnell size.
Are you finished?
No. I'd like to plug something that I'm very passionate about. My charity, Save the Hotties. We go to impoverished, war-torn countries, and we find the hottest dames. We give them some food, but not too much so they don't lose their figures. We give them mani-pedis, we put them in designer clothes, and we even get them some fresh drinking water if there's time. Now, for the price of an average maid, you, too, could be a sponsor for Save the Hotties. And believe me, all of my refugees are tens.
Thank you, Donald. Back to you.
Give me a smooch.
No, Donald.
Come here.
No, it's my day off. It's not. It's read the contract. Oh.
Actually, Donald, I'm going to help stop you there. You're attacking.
Get him off of me, Walt.
You can't attack your own wife.
You can attack your own wife.
We're married.
China. 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 You go over to China. 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 You take China.
China.
China. I love them. China. 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 I have to have my China. China. China because China. 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 And you know China, 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 South China, China, China. People say, oh, you don't like China. I like China. China. I love China. China. China all the time. China. When was the last time you heard China?
I think I'll win the Hispanics. I played thousands of Hispanic. They love me, I love them, and I think I'm going to do great with women. One of the reasons I'm going to do great with women is because I'm a leader. I'm not like Hillary Clinton. She got no strength one. She got no stamina. Everything she does is like theatrical. Donald Trump, he said this. Actually, it's sort of interesting. She said, I watched her last night. Donald Trump, it looks like she practiced in front of the mirror for 2 hours. Donald Trump said, I think it's dangerous. I'm dangerous. She is the one who caused all these problems with her stupid policies. You look at what she did with Libya, huh? With Syria, huh? Look at Egypt. What happened with Egypt? A total mess. We don't back any of our allies. You know, right? She was truly, if not one of the worst Secretary of State in the history of this country.
I have nothing against China. I just hate that their leaders are so much smarter than our leaders. 2016, we will not be the world leader anymore. We have been always. But in 2016, China becomes the great economic leader.
Even if Mitt Romney is elected, he says that
maybe you can turn it around.
Well, do you think he can turn it around?
I think we can.
Do you think Mitt Romney can turn it around?
I think he can.
As a line of clothing. Now, where were these made?
These were made, I don't know where they were made, but they were made someplace. But they're great. It's ties, shirts, cufflinks, everything sold at Macy's, and they're doing great. #1 selling tie anywhere in the world.
#1 selling tie anywhere in the world. You wouldn't wear that shirt?
We also have them in white and beautiful white.
Where are the shirts made? Bangladesh.
Well, it's good. Okay. We employ people in Bangladesh.
Ties? Where are the ties
they
made?
Have to work
These are
too.
beautiful ties.
They are great ties.
The ties are made in where? China? Ties are made in China.
Well, I'll tell you, and you know what, David, in all fairness, I've been very open about that, and not all of them, by the way, but I've been very open about that. Are you okay? Is the
No,
chair
I'm
was
fine.
Made in China.
I know.
The chair was made in China.
The chair was made in China.
You buy that at Macy's, by the way.
Let's just shut down the Donald Trump factory in Beijing.
I would love to.
And we'll put up a tie factory in Jamaica, Queens.
I love it.
And we'll make the Donald Trump ties.
I'm for it.
And let me put it very plainly. If we Republicans choose Donald Trump as our nominee, the prospects for a safe and prosperous future are greatly diminished. Let me explain why I say that. First, on the economy. If Donald Trump's plans were ever implemented, the country would sink into prolonged recession. A few examples. His proposed 35% tariff-like penalties would instigate a trade war, and that would raise prices for consumers, kill our export jobs, and lead entrepreneurs and businesses of all stripes to flee America. His tax plan, in combination with his refusal to reform entitlements and to honestly address spending, would balloon the deficit and the national debt. So even though Donald Trump has offered very few specific economic plans, what little he has said is enough to know that he would be very bad for American workers and for American families. But you say, wait. Isn't he a huge business success? Doesn't he know what he's talking about? No, he isn't. And no, he doesn't. Look, his bankruptcies have crushed small businesses and the men and women who work for them. He inherited his business. He didn't create it. And whatever happened to Trump Airlines? How about Trump University? And then there's Trump Magazine, and Trump Vodka, and Trump Steaks, and Trump Mortgage. A business genius he is not. Now, not every policy that Donald Trump has floated is bad, of course. He wants to repeal and replace Obamacare. He wants to bring jobs home from China and Japan. But his prescriptions to do those things are flimsy at best. At the last debate, all he could remember about his health care plan was to remove insurance boundaries between states. Successfully bringing jobs home requires serious policy and reforms that make America the place businesses want to come, want to plant, and want to grow. You can't punish business into doing what you want. Frankly, the only serious policy proposals that deal with the broad range of national challenges we confront today come from Ted Cruz, Marco Rubio, and John Kasich. One of these men should be our nominee. Now, I know that some people want this race to be over. They look at history and say a trend like Mr. Trump's isn't going to be stopped. Perhaps. But the rules of political history have pretty much all been shredded during this campaign. If the other candidates can find some common ground, I believe we can nominate a person who can win the general election and who will represent the values and policies of conservatism. Given the current delegate selection process, that means that I'd vote for Marco Rubio in Florida and for John Kasich in Ohio, and for Ted Cruz, or whichever one of the other two contenders has the best chance of beating Mr. Trump in a given state. Now let me turn to national security and the safety of our homes and loved ones. Mr. Trump's bombast is already alarming our allies and fueling the enmity of our enemies. Insulting all Muslims will keep many of them from fully engaging with us in their urgent fight against ISIS. And for what purpose? Muslim terrorists would only have to lie about their religion to enter the country. And then what he said about in 60 Minutes, did you hear this? It was about Syria and ISIS, and it has to go down as the most ridiculous and dangerous idea of the entire campaign season. Let ISIS take out Assad, he said, and then we can pick up the remnants. Now think about that. Let the most dangerous terror organization the world has ever known take over an entire country? This recklessness is recklessness in the extreme. Now, Donald Trump tells us that he is very, very smart. I'm afraid that when it comes to foreign policy, he is very, very not smart. Now, I'm far from the first to conclude that Donald Trump lacks the temperament to be president. After all, this is an individual who mocked a disabled reporter, who attributed a reporter's questions to her menstrual cycle, who mocked a brilliant rival who happened to be a woman due to her appearance, who bragged about his marital affairs, and who laces his public speeches with vulgarity. Donald Trump says he admires Vladimir Putin. At the same time, he's called George W. Bush a liar. That is a twisted example of evil trumping good. There's a dark irony in his boasts of his sexual exploits during the Vietnam War, while at the same time, John McCain, whom he has mocked, was imprisoned and tortured. Dishonesty is Donald Trump's hallmark. He claimed that he had spoken clearly and boldly against going into Iraq. Wrong. He spoke in favor of invading Iraq. He said he saw thousands of Muslims in New Jersey celebrating 9/11. Wrong. He saw no such thing. He imagined it. He's not of the temperament of the kind of stable, thoughtful person we need as leader. His imagination must not be married to real power. The President of the United States has long been the leader of the free world. The President and, yes, even the nominees of the country's great parties helped define America to billions of people around the world. All of them bear the responsibility of being an example for our children and our grandchildren. Think of Donald Trump's personal qualities: the bullying, the greed, the showing off, the misogyny, the absurd third-grade theatrics. You know, we've long referred to him as the Donald. He's the only person in the entire country to whom we have added an article before his name, and it wasn't because he had attributes we admired. Now imagine your children and your grandchildren acting the way he does. Would you welcome that? Haven't we seen before what happens when people in prominent positions fail the basic responsibility of honorable conduct? We have. And it always injures our families and our country. Watch, by the way, how he responds to my speech today.